young stars, people trying to pursue their dream into coming to Formula One, high level of racing, a lot of experienced drivers, more rookie drivers, and this always is playing for a good racing and good action. We've seen our championship winner, Lando Norris.
He is a star, isn't he?
What's on top of his steering wheel?
I didn't see that. That's sort of like little red things, wasn't it?
The three.
I was talking.
Sweet like this sweet you can buy in the supermarket, so you can take one.
Yeah. I was talking to Trevor Carlin last night as well, and Trevor is, of course, team boss of Carlin Motorsport, the team based in Aldershot in the UK, and Trevor was, as always, of course. When you look at the success that Carlin have had over the years in terms of nurturing young talent, it's like water off a duck's back to Trevor Carlin because he's seen it all, done it all, hasn't he? But nonetheless, you could sense the pride there was in terms of what Lando Norris has done this year.
Yeah, of course. I mean, coming as a rookie and winning straight away, it's a really good achievement. And as you said, I mean, teams like Prema, Carlin, in the past we had Fortec. They've been racing this single-seater series for many years. But I think every year, every win is special at the end of the day.
You're absolutely right. As we look at the P7 driver now, Tadasuke Makino for High-Tech Grand Prix. So Tadasuke then in final stages of preparation ahead of the final race of the season. Lando Norris then will be going from P6. We've already seen him as we look at Nikita Mazepin now going from P8 on the grid. Another one of the High-Tech Grand Prix drivers. Nikita Mazepin does not have a row of sweets across the top of his steering wheel like Lando Norris.
No, it's gone.
And yeah, it has gone. He's had them all now, hasn't he?
I've never seen this again.
Looking forward to seeing Lando tonight at the Championship Awards evening, where Lando Norris, once again, will be on the top step, a step that he's been fairly familiar with. Look at the crowds that are here already at Hockenheim for this final race weekend of the DTM season, of which the FIA Formula 3 European Championship, of course, shares the billing. A lot of people here already. So Maximilian Günther then, who's going from pole position, despite the pink livery, not only of the car, but also of his crash helmet and his racing suit as well, celebrating that partnership with the BWT organisation. The Maximilian Günther car is, of course, a Mercedes-Benz powered Prema Power Team car, the livery of which is more traditional on the Callum Islet car, isn't it? That livery that also applies to the number 8 car of Guan Yu Zhu of the Italian team, Prema Power Team. Before we go to Jake Hughes there in car number 34, of course, for the High-Tech GP team. Mercedes-Benz power in the Jake Hughes car then. And there we can see Joel Eriksson, who, well, he's had a fair weekend, a P1 and a P4. What can Joel Eriksson do from P5 on the grid? Another one of the drivers that I spoke to last night. And Joel pretty happy with his performance across this weekend. And going into the final race, it's 33 minutes plus 1 lap for the FIA Formula 3 European Championship, bringing to a close the 2017 season. So the car's about to be released on their formation lap. And it'll be Günther, Eilert, front row, Zhu, Hughes, then Ericsson, Norris, Makino, Mazepin, Piquet, Aaron. Then it'll be Joey Mawson and Mick Schumacher. P11 and P12, Gian Daravala, David Beckman, Ferdinand Habsburg. We were talking about tall drivers a few moments ago. Ferdinand Habsburg is about 7 foot tall as well, isn't he?
Yeah, it's a pretty tall driver. As we know, but as we were talking yesterday, the drivers or the new generation are coming bigger and bigger, so also the manufacturers are struggling because they have to do the cars bigger and bigger. Remember that all 308 car was a little bit smaller, then the 312 was a little bit bigger. Now this also adaptation or new model of the F312 is also a little bit tiny bigger, so we have a little bit more space. This is mainly because there are drivers which has a problem to fit in these cars.
These cars are all Dallara cars, of course, and the Dallara chassis. Engine's a mix of VW and Mercedes-Benz. Of course, Dallara is not the, you could have another chassis, couldn't you? And we have seen that in the past.
Yeah, we've seen that in the past. Some other manufacturer trying to join the championship with a new chassis. But at the end of the day, Dallara has many years of experience. It's been running F3 chassis for a long time, and they are the one with more experience and more successful cars.
Here's the grid in full for you then. Maximilian Gunter, Callum Ilott, P1 and P2. Then it's Guan Yu Zhu, Jake Hughes, Joel Eriksson, Lando Norris, Tadazuke Makino, Nikita Mazepin, Pedro Piquet and Ralph Aron rounding out the first 5 rows of the grid. All the information at FIA-F3Europe.com as we go to P11 with Joey Mawson, then it's Mick Schumacher, Jihan Daravala, David Beckman, Ferdinand Habsburg, Kayvan Andres, Harrison Newey, Marino Sato, Felipe Drugovic, then it's Juri Vips and Devlin Di Francesco. Juri Vips, the Estonian driver, of course, here, like Felipe Drugovic from the ADAC Formula 4 Championship, which, you know, again, this single-seater ladder that so exists where both Felipe Drugovic and Juri Vips are making their first steps, perhaps, into the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. And I wouldn't be altogether surprised if we saw the likes of Drugovic and Juri Vips on the bill for next season's racing. 4.574 a kilometre track here at Hockenheim. And the race duration then 33 minutes plus 1 lap. It's the end of the school year then for the FIA Formula 3 European Championship drivers. One race now before perhaps they can begin to relax a little and reflect on what they have been able to achieve in terms of the season. But it's not going to be many hours of relaxation or days of relaxation before they're thinking about season 2018. As a professional racing driver, there's no rest for you, is there really?
Yeah, I mean, still a big highlight on the calendar for all these drivers, which is the Grand Prix of Macau in a month's time.
Yes.
So they will be really finishing the 67, maybe relaxing for 2 weeks, but in about 3 weeks' time, they will be all flying away to Asia and racing that really amazing race.
Are you and I booked for that yet?
Haven't heard anything. You had any news? Okay. That will be good.
So.
Never managed to be at Macau?
No, me neither. Right. Maximilian Gunter then is going from pole position on the grid. Here come the lights. Here comes the race start then. The final race of the season is underway. 33 minutes plus 1 lap. Callum Ilott bogs down at the start. We saw him do an absolutely brilliant start yesterday. This has not gone his way today, though. Maximilian Gunter going through turn number 1, heading up towards turn number 2 now. So Callum Ilott actually slotting in behind Lando Norris. They're going 3 abreast right at the back of the pack there as they make their way onto the Parabolica for the first time of asking in anger in this race. Race being led by Maximilian Gunter, then it's Guan Yu Zhu, Jake Hughes is P3 as they all head up to the hairpin for the first time of asking. Joel Eriksson is also in the mix there as well, running in P4. Looks at the inside now, Lando Norris also making good from the very, very start. Of course, he took the championship in race 1. There is the number 5 car of Pedro Piquet. And Maximilian Gunter is just up the road as Jake Hughes goes on the outside of Guan Yu Zhu, but he's not able to make that stick. And going to really try and take advantage of that is Joel Eriksson as Guan Yu Zhu and Jake Hughes are fighting there. And Lando Norris and Callum Ilott behind Joel Eriksson. So into the technical part of this circuit now. There you can see the Lando Norris car leading Callum Ilott, who went from the first row of the grid. A P2 start for Callum Ilott, but he finds himself further down the order than he would like to be, that's for sure. So they complete the first lap and up the inside of David Beckman then. It's Gunter that leads the race from Guan Yu Zhu, Jake Hughes, Joel Eriksson, then it's Lando Norris, Callum Ilott, and then it's Piquet and Nikita Mazepin, Makino and Mawson rounding out the top 10. And already, look at this, Maximilian Gunter has opened up a gap in 1 lap of 1.6 seconds, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, he did a really good start, so he got a clean way after corner 1. So that plays on his hands to open that gap and to try to push as hard as he can. We see now he's doing purple sector 1. So this, as I said, if you starting on pole, you do a really good start, you can take advantage of this. When we see Joel Eriksson attacking Jake Hughes.
He's done it.
He's done it. We see the switch back and we'll not know. So Joel Eriksson gets now the last step of the podium. In 3rd position, we see also Lando Norris approaching the high-tech drivers, the high-tech F3 car of Jake Hughes.
Callum Ilott then, who's had a P4 and a P1. He showed blistering pace when he took that race win yesterday. He's going to have to call on all the reserves now, isn't he, to try and get on terms with Lando Norris. Joey Mawson just taking a look at the inside of Makino there, and then right at the back of the pack we can see Drugovic and Di Francesco having a real battle going on there. Absolutely fantastic stuff.
Yeah, we see, I think it's Mick Schumacher with tumbling wing, front wing, so he's coming now into the box to get it replaced. So maybe he had some contact with any of the other drivers. We're coming now in the box. We'll get that nose replaced.
So, as you say, Schumacher then, the Prema Power Team driver then, making his way down the pit lane now. And early stages of this race into the pit lane, the Prema team go to work there, and they rehearse and they practice this, don't they, in terms of replacing the nose cones, Alex?
Yeah, they try this. I mean, it's a quite common issue in the F3 when we see now a replay of Joel Eriksson getting past Jake Hughes. So yeah, the nose is one of the easiest part of the car to break down during a race. So they practice how to change this as quick as possible in order to be able to change it during a race. It's a bit hard to change. There's 4 bolts, so you need to put them quick out. When you see Joel Eriksson got past Guan Yusu.
You're absolutely right. Joel Eriksson is ahead of Guan Yu Zhu. So Joel Eriksson now is P2, and the chase is on to Maximilian Günther. And there's 28.5 minutes of the race plus 1 lap remaining. You wouldn't bet against Joel Eriksson getting on terms with Maximilian Günther. He's looked really, really racy all weekend as Joel Eriksson. The incident between Mick Schumacher and the Ralph Aron car has been noted by race stewards. We'll advise you if anything more should come of that. There is Joel Eriksson, and look at the pace that Joel Eriksson has got. Has just almost walked away from the Guan Yu Zhu car. Extraordinary, and the chase is on to Maximilian Günther. Be one to keep an eye on in terms of the lap times.
Yeah, let's see how the tires are developing throughout the race. If they is able to keep the tires on a good rhythm. We saw yesterday Callum Ilott was able to keep the tires in a really good performance during the whole race. And let's see if Joel Eriksson can manage to do this and keep this blistering pace and maybe chase down Maxi Günther. So at the moment they are doing similar sector times. So we'll keep an eye on the time screen when we see Lando Norris also putting some pressure on Jake Hughes.
So right at the back of the order then, Kay Van Andres in the number 47 car alongside Di Francesco. But back to Joel Eriksson, who is what, 2.9 seconds down on Maximilian Günther, which is a big. There is our race leader, Maximilian Günther, there into the picture. Look at the gap already that Joel Eriksson has created over Guan Yu Zhu, Jake Hughes, then Lando Norris and Callum Ilott. And this replay right at the start of the race. This is Schumacher and Aron.
Aron, yeah.
Well, that was Mick's fault, wasn't it?
I need to see the replay. I was looking at the back of the pack, but and it looks like he ran a little bit of out of place. Yeah, we see Ralph Aron puncture from left.
So there, the Ralph Aron car in then. Look at the blisters on the tyre already, Alex. You know, it's not done many laps. I appreciate it's punctured now, but the surface of the tyre, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but when you're punctured, driving slow, getting a lot of pickup, and especially he got a puncture really early in the lap, so out of corner number 3, so...
Well, the incident between Ralph Aron and Mick Schumacher has been considered a racing incident, nothing more than that, so no penalties at all. So already Joel Eriksson has taken a 10th out of Maximilian Günther as the chase is on then. Last lap around, it was a 132.478 for Joel Eriksson. It was a 132.623, you see, for Maximilian Günther. So Joel Eriksson really going to be on a mission now to try and close in on that Maximilian Günther car. Maximilian Günther P1 goes through on our camera now. Here comes Joel Eriksson P2, then it's Guan Yu Zhu P3 ahead of Jake Hughes, Lando Norris, and then it's Callum Ilott. David Beckman side by side with Makino here, and he will go through on the inside. So Beckman and Makino, but is he going to be far enough ahead? I think he is. I think this is going to be done, and that was set up absolutely perfectly. Great show there from David Beckman.
Yeah, really good. Squeezing Makino on the inside, carrying a little bit more speed on the outside, and denying the Makino the possibility of getting the position. So really good job done by Beckman.
Now, what's even more impressive, in my opinion, for the Joel Eriksson performance here, is Joel is on, I don't know what tyres, but I'm hearing that he's not on absolutely proper tyres in terms of new, because how the tyres are spread across the 3 races, Alex, you know, you have to make those tyres last, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. You have a minimum set of, also maximum, excuse me, set of tires per weekend that you can use. And you always, one of the races, usually your race 3 is the one you have to run on old tires. So some of the drivers are running on those old tires, so probably some of the driver in the grid are on old tires. I don't know if Ericsson is on old tires. That's for me seems like pretty much everyone is using this this set of old tires now in the last race, especially with all the championship contenders, or Lando Norris, for example.
Jake Hughes.
I bet he was using new tires yesterday just to get sure that everything runs good. When we see Lando Norris and Jake Hughes having a battle for position 4, for the 4th place. Oh,
we hear something, didn't we? We didn't see it, but we heard something. So Lando Norris keeping the pressure then on Jake Hughes. Now Jake Hughes has defended so far, and Lando Norris has not been able to find his way past. And of course, if Jake Hughes and Lando Norris start fighting, this may play into the hands of Callum Isla, who of course is lurking in P6.
For sure, if they start battling, then this will allow the Callum Isla to get close to them. And we see now the gap between Maxi Günther and Ericsson is still the same, 2.9 seconds. Both drivers lapping a little, it's quite equal lap times.
Günther was marginally quicker last time around, though, wasn't he? So, and that's Ferdinand Habsburg.
That's probably what we heard.
It is what we heard. So Ferdinand Habsburg. Now, where is that on the track? So Ferdinand Habsburg connecting with the car of Marino Sato. And that car then into the barrier. So full course yellow. Full course yellow has been called for.
So everyone will drive slowly at 80 kilometers an hour.
And there is the very tall Ferdinand Habsburg then, the end of his final race in the FIA Formula 3 European Championship for 2017. And a disappointing one as he walks through the gravel back to safety then. Also coming in, that's the Gian Diravala car.
Yeah, I think there was some contact between Habsburg and Diravala, and that caused, they're checking the car of Diravala.
Let's see.
Right. I think Diravala was all the way on the...
yes,
no,
so...
no,
that was the contact with Ferdinand Habsburg that we saw with Sato, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And Habsburg connecting with the barriers then. We've already seen Habsburg out of the car, and there he is walking away from the car. So Ferdinand Habsburg, his race is done and dusted. It will be a retirement for Ferdinand Habsburg, regrettably. Of course, he has had a win this year. Took his win Spa, if memory serves me correctly. So full course yellow then is in operation here.
So all cars driving 80 kilometers an hour. They are controlled by race control.
So this is, this is something that as we see the Ferdinand Habsburg car being recovered there. So this, as you say, is controlled by race control, and therefore the benefit, if there is a benefit of the full course yellow, is of course that the gaps remain the same, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. It's a P1, and if you are a P1 and you we have now a gap of 2.9 seconds, you build that gap yourself, and then if you get a safety car, you will lose all what you've won.
Because everyone punches up behind the safety car, and the full course yellow is different, isn't it?
It is different. It's just slow downs everyone equally down to 80 kilometers an hour, and then they will restart or get a green flag, and they will restart all the same equally, so the distance remains pretty much the same. It's coming from an endurance wall, like for example when I do the endurance races we have also full course yellow, because if you've done 2 hours race out of 12 hours for example, and you've built a gap of 25 seconds, if you get a safety car, all what you've done, all the work you've done in 2 hours is lost. So when we see now the replay of the start of a Callum Isla, who was not as brilliant as it was yesterday.
No.
So in order to not
the initial start seemed okay, and then it seemed to
maybe too fast into second gear, going down the revs. It's really hard to see. We'll need to see the onboard. We see now, I think it's green flag. Yeah, we hear the cars accelerating again.
So full course yellow done and dusted. So The full course yellow is over. Maximilian Gunter, Joel Eriksson P1, P2, and Lando Norris gets ahead of Jake Hughes. Now, is there any way when the full course yellow comes to an end that you may be able to take advantage? Can you anticipate the end better than anybody else, perhaps?
Usually, as far as I know, if I'm wrong, for example, what we have in endurance is it's done by the race. So it's done by race control. They tell you, okay, we have full course yellow in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you have to be at 80 kilometers an hour. I think by the F3 and single seater is controlled from race. You have like a GPS or special system in the car that they all make, let's say, press a button, and all the cars go down to 80 kilometers an hour, get a revs limited to 80 kilometers an hour. So this is like virtual safety car, so called.
Right. Well, Lando Norris then is ahead of Jake Hughes, and will doubtless try and chase down Guan Yu Zhu now, who is running in P3. Joel Eriksson, of course, trying to chase Maximilian Gunter, but the margin between Gunter and Eriksson is 7.7 now. So there, the number 5 car then of Pedro Piquet, and behind Pedro Piquet is the Joey Mawson car. So Joey Mawson then, graduate, of course, from the ADAC Formula 4 Championship. So Gunter Eriksson, it's 4.6 the margin now. Guan Yu Zhu, Lando Norris, Jake Hughes, Callum Ilott, Nikita Mazepin, and then it is Pedro Piquet, who is P8, ahead of Joey Mawson, Beckman, Makino, Newey, Shuri Vips, and Marina Sato is P14. He, of course, with contact with Mick Schumacher earlier on. No further action going to be taken over that. So Lando Norris on a charge now. He has managed to get past Jake Hughes. He's opening up a gap really rather nicely. And behind Jake Hughes, of course, is the car of Callum Ilott running in P6 at the moment. So there is Guan Yu Zhu. Here comes Lando Norris then into the hairpin. They go. Lando Norris, the FIA Formula 3 European champion for 2017. In his rookie year, he took the championship in the first race yesterday, and chasing down Guan Yu Zhu now. Would, of course, like to finish the season on the podium, but Maximilian Gunter it is that's leading the race from Joel Eriksson. You can see Joel Eriksson chasing down now. We've got just under 18 minutes plus 1 lap of the race remaining. Gunter then 4.6 seconds to the good over Joel Eriksson. And there, just coming into the picture, is the Harrison Newey car number 17, and car number 16. Here we get a replay then of Maximilian Gunter, then super slow-mo replay of Maxi Gunter then leading this race. It's P1. Maxi Gunter back to his very best and running out wide and flying the car across the rumble strips. These phenomenal single-seaters, what a successful season it has been once again for the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. This event last year, of course, it was Lance Stroll that was champion. Of course, Lance Stroll making great strides in Formula 1 right now. Joel Eriksson then, who's chasing down from P2 and is trying to narrow the gap to Maximilian Gunter. We see Joel Eriksson in replay. There is Maximilian Gunter, our race leader. There is Joel Eriksson, and Lando Norris almost on the back of Guan Yu Zhu, we can see in the back of the picture. So Lando Norris making, or doing as quickly as possible, the job of getting closest where the Lando Norris family look on. And there is Maximilian Gunter. So it's P1 for Maximilian Gunter, P2 for Joel Eriksson, and P3 for Guan Yu Zhu. And as I mentioned just a few moments ago, Lando Norris is really chasing down Guan Yu Zhu now. So, you know, he's done all the hard work. He is the champion. He's done it in his rookie year, but even so, would want to be on the podium in the final race, surely.
Yeah, for sure. So he's showing a good pace at the moment, recovering a little bit of time, so getting closer and closer to Guan Yu Zhu. So let's see if he can fight for that third position on the podium. I don't know if he has pace enough and time enough to be able to chase down in case he gets past Guan Yu Zhu, Joel Eriksson, but we will nevertheless see towards the end of the race.
Absolutely. So really two chases going on here. Norris on Guan Yu Zhu and also Joel Eriksson on Maximilian Gunter, the number 55 car that is centre picture there, rounding out the top 10 at the moment for David Beckman, the Moto Park driver then in car number 55, who, as I say, is rounding out the top 10 just ahead of Makino in... and he's ahead of Harrison Newey and Juri Vips, the young Estonian then, who's come up from ADAC Formula 4 for his first taste in the FIA Formula 3 European Championship, who is running in P13. So just about half distance in this FIA Formula 3 race, the final one of the season then. And the race being led by Maximilian Gunter.
See Maximilian Gunter and Joel Eriksson lapping pretty close together. In the lap times, I mean, it's 4.6 seconds difference, but both are doing now purple sector 1, purple sector 2. Callum Ilott also lapping quite fast at the moment. So everyone seems to have a pretty good rhythm now with the 11 laps into the race.
The gap remains constant, doesn't it, between Gunter and Eriksson. Whatever Joel Eriksson is able to throw at it, Maximilian Gunter is responding, isn't he, because he's quick. The top two drivers are 132.4 and 132.3, whereas the rest into the 32.8s of Guan Yu Zhu and Lando Norris. And Jake Hughes actually a 33.1 and Callum Ilott a 32.8. As we look at the lap times across the first few drivers. So Maximilian Gunter, for all intents and purposes, it would appear that he has got this all completely under control, and where once we thought Joel Eriksson was really going to be able to chase him down, that the lap times are such that Maximilian Gunter is able to match, if not better, the pace of Joel Eriksson, who is chasing him at the moment. So you'd have to say, looking at this, Maximilian Gunter appears to be completely in control. He's got the car absolutely set perfectly. He's driving it well within its capabilities and looks pretty comfortable in that P1 position. There you can see Joel Eriksson, who's chasing him down now to the best of his ability. But again, whilst he's taken 100ths out perhaps during certain sectors, as Callum Ilott now is right on the back of Jake Hughes. Now this is for P5. So Callum Ilott then is closer to Jake Hughes than he has been. So Gunter crosses the timing line then, and the gap remains the same at 4.6 between Maximilian Gunter and Joel Eriksson. Then it will be Guan Yu Zhu that takes the P3 place currently. There you can see Joel Eriksson. There's Guan Yu Zhu. Guan Yu Zhu makes a mistake and runs a bit wide. That will allow Lando Norris to get a little bit closer. So Lando Norris on Guan Yu Zhu, Callum Ilott now on Jake Hughes as well. So we've got two little battles that are developing here quite nicely. So here comes Lando Norris then around the parabolica, then the Carlin Motorsport driver that is the FIA Formula 3 European champion, trying to reel in the Prema Power Team driver that is Guan Yu Zhu, all over the back of Guan Yu Zhu, just trying to unsettle him, trying to make sure that Guan Yu Zhu's mirrors are full of that Carlin car of Lando Norris. And Callum Ilott does go through on Jake Hughes. Jake Hughes will try and fight back, but Callum Ilott has got the job done at the hairpin. So Callum Ilott moves himself up to P5, but here comes Jake Hughes fighting back. They're side by side going into this turn, but Callum Ilott will have the inside line. I'd like to see a replay of that, because Lando Norris continues to chase, but Callum Ilott has got his overtake done and has got past Jake Hughes. So Callum Ilott up to P5, Jake Hughes relegated to P6 with 11.5 minutes of the race still to come.
Yeah, we have as an overtaking between the car number 99, which is the Nikita Mazepin, and car number 5, Pedro Piquet, under investigation due to overtaking after full yellow restart.
Okay.
So somehow there is some issue there.
Right,
Yes,
this is
replay.
Callum Ilott then. Little lock-up, wasn't there, from Jake Hughes, and that just played into the hands of Callum Ilott, who was super smooth through the inside of the hairpin and gets himself ahead of Jake Hughes. Jake Hughes realises the mistake and tries to make good and tries to come back, but he's not able to do so. So good opportunistic overtake there from Callum Ilott, taking advantage of the small error from Jake Hughes. Now, by a tenth, the gap has narrowed between Maximilian Gunter and Joel Eriksson. It is nothing like enough, is it? With 10.5 minutes remaining of this race, it's the pace difference between the two of them is probably not great enough. Doing his level best, Joel Eriksson, to chase down, but as I said just a few moments ago, it really looks like Maximilian Gunter has got this completely under control. Here comes Guan Yu Zhu, and the margin between Guan Yu Zhu and Lando Norris. Well, Lando Norris is lapping some 100ths quicker than Guan Yu Zhu, but 100ths quicker is not enough. So Gunter then, 4.2 seconds to the good on Joel Eriksson. So actually it's 4 tenths that it's changed between 4.6 to 4.2. Under 10 minutes remaining. So Maxi Gunter then, P1, Joel Eriksson P2, Guan Yu Zhu P3, Lando Norris P4, Callum Ilott P5, Jake Hughes P6, Nikita Mazepin is P7, then it's Pedro Piquet, Joey Mawson and David Beckman. So it's at this stage of the race when everything has settled down and the drivers are managing the inevitable tyre degradation towards the end of the race, where surely you just have to find yourself in a perfect, comfortable rhythm and drive within that. Cue Alex alongside me. Presumably that's what you need to do.
Exactly.
Thank you. Right.
Just having some fun with this is a problem. This commentary booth with the glass, having some fun with Oliver Schindler on the other side.
Not interested in what's going on next door. So Maximilian Gunter, 4.2 seconds to the good over Joel Eriksson. Guan Yu Zhu then, and now Lando Norris really is beginning to reel in Guan Yu Zhu. And let's see over the remaining laps of this race what Lando Norris can do here. Because Lando Norris wants to go out, he wants to finish on a flourish, and if he can pull a podium out of this final race, he would be utterly delighted with that. So too with the Carlin team. Lando Norris then, the car number 31, chasing down that Guan Yu Zhu car. Guan Yu Zhu for Prema Power Team then will do everything that he can defend. This is the closest battle on track at the moment. There, Guan Yu Zhu going through, and if I may say, Guan Yu Zhu just beginning to look a little bit more rattled, a little bit more ragged, because the pressure is coming from Lando Norris now, and he is fully aware of that. So driving every single turn to try and hold Lando Norris at bay and keep Lando Norris at bay. So Guan Yu Zhu then P3, the final podium place at the moment, still 7.5 minutes remaining, and Lando Norris, you just get the impression that like a viper, he's getting himself and putting himself ready to be in a position where he can try and pounce. The pace differential between them is such that it's all very well, of course, Lando Norris getting onto the back of Guan Yu Zhu, but he's then got to try and force and push a mistake to come from Guan Yu Zhu, and whether that comes or not and Lando Norris is able to take advantage, well, we are going to find out. And Callum Ilott just really turning the wick up as well, and is quicker than both of them, because as these two start to fight, this will play into the hands of Callum Ilott, who's currently running in P5, having got past Jake Hughes, and he's up the road from Jake Hughes now, proving that the pace that we've seen from Callum Ilott is still there. The start was horrible for him, but he's trying to wrestle his way back in the final stages of this race. So Guan Yu Zhu then crosses the timing beam now. It's a mere 7 tenths between Guan Yu Zhu and Lando Norris. Here, a super slow-mo replay of Lando Norris, then the Carlin driver, the new 2017 champion, who's won it in his rookie year. And there you can see it displayed on the side of the car. And between races 1 and 2 yesterday, the stickers were put onto the side of Lando Norris's car, and that is how hard he is pushing in terms of trying to chase down the Guan Yu Zhu car that is running in P3. So those replays then of Lando Norris, then car bottoming out on the rumble strips there. So Maximilian Gunter and Joel Eriksson, the margin between those two is 3.9. As I said, it's merely 7 tenths though between P3 and P4. So there is Joel Eriksson, who's doing the chasing on Maximilian Günther, but Maximilian Günther looking pretty comfortable, and he's got 1 lap plus 5.5 minutes still to do in this race. Car 99, Nikita Mazepin, being told to give that position back to Pedro Piquet, so that will be a reversal of P7 and P8. So Maximilian Günther leading then, 3.9 seconds to the good over Joel Eriksson, and then it is Guan Yu Zhu. So we reach 5 minutes on the clock with 1 lap remaining. What can Lando Norris do? It's 9/10 now between Zhu and Lando Norris. So there is the car then of Guan Yu Zhu, the car of Lando Norris, and there is Maximilian Günther and Joel Eriksson throwing everything at it in the final stages of this race, but bearing in mind that he's been throwing everything at it for the entire race duration, but you just get the impression that Maximilian Günther has just been controlling it and being able to manage that margin between P1 and P2, and pretty safe in that position. Though, what can unfold in the final moments of the final FIA Formula 3 European Championship race of 2017. 3.8 between Günther and Eriksson. Guan Yu Zhu, Lando Norris, 9/10. So no further action on the incident between Ferdinand Habsburg and Marino Sato. You'll recall earlier on we saw Ferdinand Habsburg in the barriers, and that is the unfortunate end to his final race in the campaign. And there we can see now Nikita Mazepin and Joey Mawson. There is the Joey Mawson car. Joey Mawson coming into the FIA Formula 3 European Championship this year off the back of winning the ADAC Formula 4 Championship. Back to that single-seater ladder that we were talking about, where there is very much a pyramid, if you like, for the drivers to follow. And Joey Mawson and Mick Schumacher, for that matter, also both drivers coming out of ADAC Formula 4 into Formula 3. And of course, there is Nikita Mazepin and Joey Mawson in replay. And a high-flying moment for Joey Mawson, taken across the rumble strips, and under 3 minutes plus 1 lap remaining. And there we can see the number 96 car of Joey Mawson running in P9. Behind him is David Beckman. Ahead of him is Nikita Mazepin and Pedro Piquet as well. So Joey Mawson closing up on the back of Nikita Mazepin. And there you can just see into the picture the David Beckman car, number 55, and it is Makino, the car behind that. Van Amersfoort Racing then. The race team led by Fritz van Amersfoort, the Netherlands-based team, who of course are responsible for Max Verstappen's success in the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. And now providing the wheels for Joey Mawson then, who runs just a bit wide and across the rumble strips and outside the track limits, but now the bank turn with 2 turns left to do before coming round to complete and put yet another lap in the book. 3.7 seconds, the margin now between Maximilian Günther and Joel Eriksson. And whatever Lando Norris has thrown at Guan Yu Zhu, it is not enough, because the margin is still 9/10 between the two of them. It would look that everything anyone can do in terms of making up a further place. There is Maximilian Günther and Joel Eriksson around the parabolic as they head into the hairpin. Well, Maximilian Günther with it all completely under control as he crosses through that hairpin, and there too is Joel Eriksson. Now Günther has got some backmarking traffic ahead of him, but that should not be problematic in the closing stages of this FIA Formula 3 European Championship race, the last one of 2017. Günther, Eriksson, Zhu, Norris, Eilert, Hughes, Piquet, Mazepin, Mawson and Beckman rounding out the top 10. So Joel Eriksson then, who has had a rich vein of form over the final races of the championship, took a P2 in race 1 at the Red Bull Ring, followed that up with 2 race wins, and of course took win in race 1 here at Hockenheim this weekend. It looks like he's going to have to settle for P2. And it will be the second step of the podium, because Maximilian Günther is 3.7 seconds to the good. When the 30 seconds have elapsed, we will have one final lap. Super slow-mo replay now of Joel Eriksson then, the driver from Moto Park, who has been doing the chasing down and has thrown absolutely everything at it. But as I've said, it just appears that Maximilian Günther has been able to manage the gap and hasn't looked really under threat from the chase from Joel Eriksson. Opened up that gap right from the start of the race and pushed really, really hard early doors, and that has meant that he's been in fairly comfortable control for the race duration. And there is Günther then. It's the Ralph Aron car is one of those backmarking cars that he will come up against with 2 laps remaining. So the remainder of this lap for Maximilian Günther and one more. So Günther, Eriksson, Zhu, Norris, Eilert, Hughes, Piquet, Mazepin, Mawson and Beckman then. So Joel Eriksson for the Moto Park team has done his level best and is continuing to lap quicker than Maximilian Günther. It's in the 1:32.5s, Maximilian Günther in the 1:32.7s. And the only other driver in the 1:32.7s is Callum Eilert. So under investigation is an incident between car number 17 of Harrison Newey, of course, and Jihan Daravala as well. So Günther then with one lap left to do. Lando Norris then does his level best to get on terms with Guan Yu Zhu, but despite his level best, he's tried everything he possibly can, but it is the final lap. One lap for Lando Norris, and it would take a Herculean mistake, in my opinion, from Guan Yu Zhu to try and benefit Lando Norris. And Guan Yu Zhu has as much desire to be on the podium as the champion does. A little bit of a lock-up there from Maximilian Günther. Just the remainder of this lap. There is the backmarking Ralph Aron car, which is actually running in P19. So Günther, then it is Joel Eriksson, then it is Guan Yu Zhu. So Maximilian Günther then, who has had a turbulent season, is going to finish the season on a high by taking the checkered flag, and will, all being well, through the final turns, be able to do so without problem and enable the checkered flag to be unfurled on the Prema Power Team driver.
I mean, it's been pretty good finish for him on the season, at least after the trouble on the last racing. I think he will, I don't know in the points if he will get again a P2 ahead of Joel Eriksson.
Maximilian Günther then heads towards the checkered flag, and he does finish the season with a flourish and takes the win. Maximilian Günther, P1. Joel Eriksson will take P2, some 3.5 seconds distant. And then going for P3, it is Guan Yu Zhu. With a chase down from Lando Norris. Callum Eilert finishes P5. Jake Hughes there's going to be P6 with Pedro Piquet, who will take P7. Nikita Mazepin, Joey Mawson, and David Beckman rounding out the top 10. And Rennie Ross in there right in the centre of the picture from Prema Power Team. Well, Maximilian Günther, he was back to when we've seen him at his best.
Yeah, it is a really good race from the pole to the flag. And unfortunately, he will stick on P3 at the championship, so P2 in the championship will go on the way of Joel Eriksson. But happy day also for Prema getting a team championship ahead of Carlin. So yeah, we see Lando Norris getting some grass, putting some extra weight on his car.
That's extreme pickup, isn't it? So Lando Norris, well, both Joel Eriksson and Lando Norris really chasing down, but unable to do it in the end. And the podium is going to contain Maximilian Günther on the top step. Then it's Joel Eriksson and Guan Yu Zhu. So P4 goes the way of Lando Norris. P5, Callum Eilert. Then it's Jake Hughes, Pedro Piquet, Joey Mawson. Here's confirmation of the result then. Maximilian Günther, Joel Eriksson, Then it will be Guan Yu Zhu, Lando Norris, Callum Eilert, Jake Hughes, Pedro Piquet, Nikita Mazepin, Joey Mawson, and David Beckman then rounding out the top 10. All the information, of course, you can find at FIA Formula3Europe.com. That is the website for all the information with regards to the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. And keep that logged into your browser then for reference to the next season, 2018. Ferdinand Habsburg, we saw, was the only retirement of the race when he made that contact, of course, with the barriers. In the Drivers' Championship, then, as Alex has said, it confirms Joel Eriksson a P2, a mere 5 points ahead of Maximilian Günther, but 5 points is everything. It's Lando Norris, then, who sealed the Drivers' Championship. Then it's Joel Eriksson and Maximilian Günther, then, who takes P3 as we see him once again taking the checkered flag. So Maximilian Günther has done enough. Joel Eriksson P2, Guan Yu Zhu P3, and there the Prema Power team are celebrating. Rennie Rossin then the just out of shot there, who is the boss of the Prema Power team. Of course, they have not had the driver champion this year, but have taken the team's championship. So it's been a phenomenal season for the FIA Formula 3 European Championship, and Maximilian Günther then has finished on a high by taking the win in the final race. The cars on their way into the Parc Fermé area now, and as always, they are awaited down there, and there is Lando Norris, who, of course, will be on the podium as the best of the rookies, because Günther Eriksson and Guan Yu Zhu taking the 1, 2, 3, but Lando Norris the best of the rookies in taking that P4 position. So actually Lando Norris then, so Joel Eriksson pulls into Parc Fermé, and Joel Eriksson has had a rich vein of form towards the end of the season, and Maximilian Günther will be jolly pleased to have ended the season on a high by taking the win. As I say, the sort of mid to end part of the season has been a real turbulent time for Maxi Günther. And there he celebrates. So Maximilian Günther we will be seeing on the top step of the podium, and Prema Power team then.
Yeah, good job by him getting that first place. The ends, you get a sweet taste before finishing the season. After race 1 was not so great, and the few last races it was struggling a little bit to find the pace. Looks like he got it back now.
Never seemed really to recover what he had, you know. You would have put him as certainly one of the favourites for the championship going into this season. And in the end, you know, despite the fact he will have taken the win today, he presumably will go away from the season still being disappointed of his position in the championship.
Yeah, probably. I think you are completely right. Being in the situation he was leading the championship, while we see Guan Yu Zhu super slow-mo in 3rd position. He was leading the championship, and then he was losing a little bit more, and then ending up in 3rd position. But at least a victory is a victory, and I think for sure he's thinking maybe now in, like I was saying before, Macau, or important race like this. Now we got the super slow-mo of Joel Eriksson, the man who also finished 2nd in the championship, 2nd in this last FIA Formula 3 2017 race, and finally Maxi Günther getting this 3rd position. So it looks like the BWT day. Before in Porsche Carraraca, BWT won, and now BWT wins in Formula 3. Will that mean that Edo or Lucas Auer will win a DTM race later on? Well, we don't know.
Yes, you may well be right there. So there, Maxi Günther then celebrating the fact that he's taken the win. So drivers heading up to the podium area as we speak. We're directly opposite the podium in our commentary position here at Hockenheim, as Maxi Günther then continues to celebrate. And well, there you can see Joel Eriksson, who did everything he could, but it was in the end a margin of some 3.5 seconds between Maxi Günther and Joel Eriksson. Then some 10 seconds before you saw Guan Yu Zhu and Lando Norris, who actually finished merely 5/10 behind us. Lando Norris then, in celebrating the fact, sets up the car sideways. He is the champion for 2017, the FIA Formula 3 European champion, and making sure he does his pickup. And as you pointed out, at one point it was actually on the grass, wasn't he, doing plenty of pickup. But whichever way you look at it, it's been a phenomenal season for Lando Norris to come in off the back of course, double bubble in the Formula Renault. He came in, and there he is. Came into the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. We all knew he was going to be good, but he's been supremely dominant.
Yeah, it's been showing a really great performance, really constant on the not making big mistakes during the season. And at the end of the day, this is the really important thing, what you need to win a championship. It's not only about winning races, it's also about being constant, being there, being fighting for top state of the podium. We see Tom Christensen probably will make some, will offer some of the trophies to the winners. So Maxi Günther going down top of step of the podium. Yeah, and back to Lando Norris, perfect season. I mean, and coming as a rookie, new championship, new car, new teams, and winning, it's a really important result. And I'm sure he will have a great career ahead of him.
I think you're right. I think a name to look out for in the future. Joel Eriksson then congratulates Maxi Günther as he makes his way to the second step of the podium. And here comes Guan Yu Zhu, who didn't falter under the pressure from the hard-charging Lando Norris. From a power team represented on the podium as well. And the national anthem. So the anthem plays out then for Maxi Günther.
We see Tom Christensen making giving the trophy to our winner, Maxi Günther. We'll see him afterwards getting suit up. Our Legends race today.
Yes, Tom Christensen. Walter Mertes, the CEO of Formula 3, making the team's presentation there. Yeah, Tom Christensen back in the car again. He's racing in that. There's a number of racing legends here this weekend that are racing in what are Audi Sport TT Cups, though cars. Though, in fairness, there's Heikki Kovalainen, who of course has also been here demonstrating one of the Japanese Super GT cars. I did say what's left of the Audi Sport TT Cup cars, because their final race of the season was slightly more damaging than the Formula 3 race that we've just seen. And Bernd Schneider, 5-time DTM champion. So I'm going to chat with him on Friday evening. Makes the trophy presentation to Guan Yu Zhu. 3 podiums to come. Of course, there is this podium for the race. Then we have the rookie podium. And then it'll be the Drivers' Championship podium. Now, I've been through the timing screen I don't know how many times, but for the rookie podium, it's going to be Lando Norris, Joey Mawson, and Juri Vips, the Estonian driver, who is going to get a podium in his first showing in the Formula 3 European Championship, his first weekend of it.
She's in this the champagne bottle on the ground, spinning on its own. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I think you're completely right. I mean, it's a good performance from him. He was struggling, but now it looks like he's finding slowly the pace, coming in P13 in his first ever Formula 3 race. And I mean, when the championship almost at its ends, everyone is at its maximum performance. Everyone knows really well the track. They've been here before. Excuse me. They've been here before. They know how the tires are working and everything. And now you come from a Formula 4 up to a Formula 3 car.
And
it's a little bit more powerful car, different tires because of different manufacturer. So you need to adapt to many new things. And it's a good performance coming P13 and lapping already in the lap times on the guys in front. It's really good. And especially if you get a podium, it's a fantastic result for a start.
Juri Vips is one of the names that we would perhaps expect to see on the entry list for next year's FIA Formula 3 European Championship, as Joel Eriksson erupted then, and as you say, the bottle pirouetting on the floor, powered by itself. Some great shots of the celebrations there on the podium. And Maxi Gunter then ending the season on a high. So to the rookie podium now, as a big number of spectators look on. So Lando Norris, Joey Mawson, of course, came from the Formula 4 Championship onto the second step of the podium for the rookies. And sure enough, it's Jury Vips then, as the British National Anthem plays out for Lando Norris. And Lando Norris then, it's been a phenomenal season. And Mr. Walter Mertes once again making the trophy presentation to Lando Norris, whose trophy haul from the year has been magnificent. Heikki Kovalainen here to make the trophy presentation to Joey Mawson for Van Amersfoort Racing. And then his first weekend in the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. And trophy presented by Bernd Schneider. Come on, Jury. Move in. An extraordinary focus that Lando Norris has had to adopt for this season. Of course,
champagne shower.
Well, Joey Mawson getting in
pretty soaked.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Jury Vips then ignites his bottle, and well, the Lando Norris race suit has
showy.
has seen a fair amount of champagne across the season. Not nice.
No.
So there we have, from the race point of view, the two podiums for the race overall, and also for the rookie championship, for the rookie achievement in the race. And then, of course, we will have the championship trophy presentation and the 2017 FIA Formula 3 European Champion, as it states on the side of his car, is Lando Norris for Carlin. And Lando Norris then, as I said, he's had to cope with a lot of things this year. There's been a lot of expectation, but he has delivered. And he's delivered in spades, truthfully. Peter Richie Rijkaard then gives Lando Norris due credit as he makes it to the top step of the podium in the championship.
Team representing Mr. René Rosin, represented team champion Prema Power Team.
And he'll be pleased about that at the end of the season, to have been able to achieve that, if not the driver that's taken P1. The driver that takes P2 in the championship is Joel Eriksson. How important is it when we look at the podium for the championship in terms of the consistency of the season? You actually see 3 drivers as we welcome now Maximilian Günther onto the third step of the podium, taking the third in the championship. 3 different teams across the top steps.
Yeah, this thing is really nice to see that there is different teams. Everyone is strong. Every one of them is able to win, to be able to achieve podium. We see now again national anthem.
So Lando Norris then is the 2017 FIA Formula 3 European champion. No one can deny that it is deserved. So 9-time winner of the 24-hour Le Mans, Mr. Le Mans, Tom Christensen makes the trophy presentation to Lando Norris. And it is a coveted trophy. And Carlin very, very happy with that. Well done, Lando. And Walter Mertes, then the CEO of Formula 3, making the team's presentation to René Rossin of Prema Power Team. And standing by to receive their trophies, of course, it's Joel Eriksson and Maximilian Günther. Heikki Kovalainen then, Super GT champion, Formula 1 Grand Prix winner, of course, Heikki. Makes the trophy presentation to Joel Eriksson. And Bernd Schneider, 5-time DTM champion. Appropriately, because of course Max has a Mercedes Junior role as well, he makes the trophy presentation to Maxi Günther.
So it will be now time for the official picture. Nevertheless, they will have another one. I think it's the rookie champion thing, trophy, yes.
Of course.
Presentation of the rookie championships of both trophies for Lando Norris.
Double bubble for Lando Norris.
Anyway, they will get another picture tonight at the Drivers' Award that you will be moderating.
Yes, myself and
presenting.
René de Boer are hosting the FIA Formula 3 Championship Awards this evening. And there all the photos are being taken then with Bernd Schneider, Tom Christensen, Walter Mertes and Heikki Kovalainen all in the picture as well, with René Rossin and Lando Norris and Joel Eriksson and Maximilian Günther. So there'll be quite a lot of them being moved to make sure that the best shot is got. And after a hard-charging 30-race season, our trophy presenters make haste their exit as Maxi Günther then, René Rossin and Joel Eriksson, and Lando hasn't even had time to erupt his bottle yet as he gets it. And here comes Lando Norris now at last. Yes! He is the champion for 2017, FIA Formula 3 European champion, Lando Norris. So it's been a remarkable season. And, well, the FIA Formula 3 European Championship does not fail to deliver excitement throughout the season. Been to a lot of tracks, there's been a lot of racing, and at the end of it all, it is the rookie that is on the top step of the championship podium. Lando Norris has done it. So many expected him to take it with one round to spare. Of course, when they're at the Red Bull Ring, it was possible, but he did it at Hockenheim at the final round. From Alex and from myself, bye-bye and thanks for watching.